Ladies, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what men secretly wish you do in the bedroom, but never actually say out loud? Because here's the truth. Most guys don't have the courage to spell it out. They'll drop hints, they'll fantasize, they'll even beg for it silently in their heads, but they won't risk telling you directly. Why? Because they don't want to scare you off, they don't want to look too needy, and sometimes they simply don't have the words for it. But I'll let you in on a little secret. When men talk privately, when they let their guard down, and when they really open up about what drives them crazy, there are 5 very specific positions that come up again and again. And yet, almost no woman ever tries them. Now, I know what you're thinking. Positions? Really, isn't it all the same? But trust me, it's not. These aren't about being acrobatic, flexible, or doing something that belongs in a movie scene. These are about psychology. They're about confidence, connection, playfulness, and surprise. And once you understand why these positions matter, you'll see that it's not just about giving him pleasure. It's about making him crave you in a way he never has before. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through the 5 sex positions men secretly beg for, but women almost never try. By the time we're done, you'll have a clear picture of what they are, why they're so powerful, and most importantly, how you can bring them into your love life tonight. Consider this your insider's guidey straight from a man's mind. And trust me, once you know this, you'll never look at intimacy the same way again. All right, ladies, let's start with a truth that may surprise you. Men act like they always want to be in charge. They walk around with that masculine energy, taking the lead, making decisions, setting the pace. And yes, that's a role they enjoy. But here's the secret in the bedroom. Men love when a woman flips the script and takes control. In fact, they crave it more than they'll ever admit. Now, when I say take control, I don't just mean straddling him and that's it. I mean stepping into that moment with absolute confidence, owning your movement, your pace, your rhythm. Because when you take control, you're not just shifting positions, you're shifting the entire dynamic of the intimacy. Picture this, he's lying back, maybe thinking he knows what's coming next. But instead of waiting for him to lead, you lean in, take his hands and guide the situation. You set the speed, you choose the angle. You're the one dictating how this experience unfolds. And in that moment, something happens inside him. He feels this rush of excitement, not just because of what's physically happening, but because of the confidence radiating off of you. Why does this drive him wild? Let me explain. Men spend their lives being expected to perform, to impress, to deliver. In the bedroom, that pressure doubles. They're wondering if they're doing enough, if you're enjoying it, if they're hitting all the right notes. But when you take control, that pressure evaporates. You give him permission to relax, to let go, to just enjoy being wanted. And believe me, there is nothing sexier to a man than feeling like you are hungry for him. But here's the catch. Many women hesitate to step into this role. Why? Because they worry about how they'll look. What if I don't move right? What if I look silly? What if I'm not doing it perfectly? Ladies, let me tell you something. He's not analyzing you. He's not scoring you. He's not thinking, oh, her hair is messy, or that angle isn't right. He's mesmerized. The very fact that you're taking charge is 10 times hotter than any technical perfection. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're sitting across from a man on a date. He's doing all the talking, carrying the conversation, asking the questions. That's fine, but eventually it starts to feel one-sided. Now imagine instead you lean in, ask him something bold, take control of the vibe. Suddenly, he feels lit up, engaged. That's exactly how it works in the bedroom. When you take over, you're showing him, I want you. I'm not afraid to claim you. And that makes him feel both excited and desired in a way he doesn't get often enough. Now, here's a pro tip. It's not just about the movement. It's about the energy you bring. If you move with hesitation, it feels tentative. But if you move with certainty, like you know exactly what you want, it becomes irresistible. Add in little gestures, touching his chest, whispering in his ear, making eye contact. And suddenly, he's not just turned on physically, he's intoxicated by the power shift. The beauty of the take control position is that it empowers both of you. You get to set the pace in a way that feels good for you, slower, faster teasing, stopping and starting while he gets the thrill of surrender. It's playful, it's electric, and it leaves him thinking, wow, I need more of that. So ladies, the next time you're together, surprise him. Don't wait for him to lead. Step into that role yourself, because when you do, you'll unlock a side of him, and a side of yourself that neither of you will forget. If you've ever taken control, even for just a moment, did you notice how his entire energy shifted? Imagine what would happen if you made that your secret superpower, ladies. That let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in the rush of passion, connection. Because while every man loves excitement, intensity, and variety, there's one thing that actually makes intimacy unforgettable, and that's when it feels like more than just two bodies coming together. It feels like two souls locking in. Now, men rarely say this out loud, but one of the things they crave most in the bedroom is a position that allows for deep face-to-face connection. Not just physically, but emotionally. I'm talking about those intimate positions where you can hold his gaze, feel his breath on your skin, and move in sync. Not as two people trying to impress each other, but as two people actually sharing something. Why does this matter so much? Because men, despite what you may think, are starved for real intimacy. Society tells them to be strong, stoic, unshakable. They're not encouraged to lean into vulnerability. But in the bedroom, especially when you're face to face, that wall comes down. He's no longer the tough guy. He's just a man craving closeness, safety, and love in a way he might not even realize until it's happening. Here's the magic when you look into his eyes during intimacy. It activates a completely different level of chemistry. Eye contact is powerful. It builds trust. It creates safety, and it triggers oxytocin, the bonding hormone. In that moment, you're not just giving him pleasure, you're giving him connection. You're saying without words, I'm here with you. I see you. I want you. And let me tell you, men can't get enough of that feeling because it's so rare. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Some women shy away from this level of intimacy. Why? Because it feels exposing, vulnerable, looking someone in the eyes while you're that close, that raw, that unguarded. It's intense. But that intensity is exactly why it works. Think about it. When was the last time you truly looked into someone's eyes uninterrupted for more than a few seconds? It's rare in daily life, which is why in the bedroom it feels magnetic. Let me paint you a picture. You're lying face to face, bodies close, moving slowly. Instead of rushing, you let yourself linger. Your eyes meet his, your hand traces his jawline. You synchronize your breathing so that inhale and exhale almost feel like one shared rhythm. Do you know what happens then? He's no longer just caught up in the physical sensation. He's falling into the moment, into you. That's when intimacy transforms from good to unforgettable. Another reason men love this, it reassures them. You might not realize this. Even the most confident guy sometimes wonders, am I enough for her? Does she really want me? Am I satisfying her? When you're face to face holding him close, giving him that deep, unwavering eye contact, all those doubts melt away. He doesn't need to ask because your presence, your touch, your gaze tell him everything. Now, here's a little pro tip during these moments. Add small gestures that amplify the connection. Run your hands through his hair. Whisper something soft in his ear, whether it's playful, romantic, or just a simple, I love this with you. Those little touches sink deep into his memory. Later, when he thinks back on it, it won't just be about how it felt physically, it'll be about how deeply connected he felt to you. This is what I call the afterglow effect. It's that lingering sense of closeness that makes him want more, not just of sex, but of you. He'll walk away from that moment thinking, I don't just want her body, I need her energy, her presence, her love. And ladies, that's how you stop being just another experience and become unforgettable. So the deep connection position isn't about wild moves or pushing physical limits. It's about slowing down, facing each other, and letting your souls do the talking. Trust me, when you give him that, he'll never stop craving it. Be honest with yourself. When was the last time you truly held eye contact with him during intimacy? Imagine the fire you'd spark if you let yourself go there tonight, ladies. Here's something a lot of people get wrong about men. They think men always want wild, acrobatic, movie scene positions to keep things exciting. The truth, most men aren't craving circus level flexibility. They're craving variety. And often the simplest little change, a new angle, a different posture, an unexpected twist can light him up in ways you'd never imagine. Why does this work? Because routine is the enemy of desire. When things always happen the same way, at the same pace, in the same position, it eventually starts to feel mechanical. That doesn't mean it isn't enjoyable. It just doesn't spark that wow factor. But when you suddenly shift the angle, whether it's lying side by side, trying a standing variation, or even adjusting your legs in a way that changes how everything feels, you break the pattern. And that unexpected shift, it's intoxicating. Let's take the side lying position as an example. It's not flashy, it's not complicated, but it creates this incredible blend of closeness and surprise. Suddenly, he feels your body pressed against his in a new way. There's skin-on-skin contact that wasn't there before. And the angle changes everything, not just physically, but emotionally. It feels more intimate, more playful, more real. He's not just in the moment, he's surprised by it. And that element of surprise makes the pleasure 10 times more powerful. Another example, a standing position. Now, this doesn't have to be some awkward balancing act. It could be as simple as you leaning against a wall while he holds you, or you pulling him close while standing in the shower. That slight change, the feeling of weight, gravity, closeness, makes him feel like he's discovering you all over again. And guess what? That's what men secretly crave. Not different women, but new experiences with the woman they already adore. Here's something important to remember: men love novelty. But novelty doesn't mean complicated. It's not about learning 50 new techniques or memorizing a playbook. It's about being willing to shift, experiment, and surprise. That willingness alone makes you magnetic, because when he sees you take initiative to change things up, even in small ways, it sends him a powerful message. I'm invested in keeping our passion alive, and trust me, that means more to him than you realize. Now, let's talk psychology for a second. When something happens in an unexpected way, it triggers the brain's dopamine response, the same chemical tied to excitement, motivation, and pleasure. That's why even tiny shifts in angle or setting can make intimacy feel brand new. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to roll it in a slightly different direction. But here's the catch: most women underestimate the power of this. They think it's just a small adjustment. Does it really matter? The answer is yes. To him, it matters a lot, because what he experiences isn't just new physical sensation, it's the thrill of being surprised by you. And that thrill is addictive. Here's a playful way to test this. Next time when he thinks he knows what's coming, surprise him. Shift into a new angle without warning. Don't explain it. Don't overthink it. Just guide him into it with confidence. Watch his reaction, the widened eyes, the smile, the rush of excitement as he realizes she just made this completely new. That's the look of a man who's hooked. Ladies, men may not always ask for unexpected angles, but they dream of them. They crave the adventure of being surprised by the woman they love. And the best part, you don't have to go over the top. The smallest shift can make the biggest difference. So here's your takeaway: variety doesn't mean complexity. It means courage. The courage to say, let's try this, or to gently move him into a new angle without a word. When you do that, you're not just giving him pleasure, you're giving him excitement, freshness, and the beautiful reminder that with you, things will never get boring. Imagine his face when you surprise him with a new angle tonight. What expression do you think you'd see? Let me tell you something most men will never admit out loud. They love a little playfulness mixed in with their passion. Yes, they want intensity. Yes, they want fire. But what really blows their mind is when you combine pleasure with a sense of power and playful teasing. That's what makes this position, the power and play position, so irresistible. Now, what do I mean by power and play? I'm talking about those positions where you are in a place to tease him, whisper in his ear, control the rhythm, and keep him guessing. It's not just about where your bodies are, it's about the dynamic you create. When you lean in close, when you slow things down right at the moment he wants more, when you toy with his anticipation, you're not just giving him pleasure, you're driving him absolutely crazy. Here's why this works. Men are used to being in control. Set the pace at work, in life, in conversations, they're constantly expected to lead. But when you flip the switch and make him the one waiting, the one anticipating, the one hanging on your next move, you create a kind of tension he can't get enough of. It's the sweet torture of being at your mercy. Picture this: you're on top, close enough to whisper something in his ear. You move slow, deliberately, even stopping for just a beat when he least expects it. You smile, maybe even giggle as you make him wait. Do you know what's happening in his mind? He's going crazy, not just because of the physical sensation, but because of the psychological game you're playing. You're showing him that you're not just present, you're in control of his experience. And that's intoxicating. Now let's add the play element. Play doesn't mean silly. Play means flirtatious. It means leaning in to kiss his neck unexpectedly, nibbling his ear, whispering something cheeky like, "You're not ready for me tonight." That kind of playful tease builds excitement in a way that raw intensity alone can't. keeps him engaged not just in his body, but in his mind. Here's the thing, men often fantasize about being taken over in this way. They want a partner who's confident enough to say, I'm going to enjoy this my way, and you're coming along for the ride. Because that confidence, that certainty, it's incredibly sexy. When you exude that kind of energy, he's not just turned on, he's mesmerized. He feels like he can't look away, can't stop wanting more. But here's where a lot of women hesitate. They think, what if I go too far? What if he doesn't like me teasing him? Ladies, trust me, he loves it. The only thing that makes it work is your delivery. If you do it with hesitation, it might fall flat. But if you do it with playful confidence, smiling, laughing, making it lighthearted yet sensual, he'll eat it up. The real beauty of the power and play position is that it creates memories. He won't just remember the physical act. He'll remember the way you toyed with him, the way you kept him guessing, the way you made him feel like he was on the edge of losing control. That's the kind of experience that sticks with him long after the night is over. So the next time you're together, try this instead of rushing to the finish line. Take your time. Tease him. Slow down when he wants you to speed up when he least expects it. Whisper in his ear. Make him feel the sweet frustration of not knowing what's coming next. Because when you mix power and play, you give him more than pleasure, you give him obsession. Imagine his reaction if just once you slowed everything down on purpose and smiled at him like you had all the control. How much do you think that would drive him wild? Ladies, here's the truth about men. Every single one of them has a fantasy he secretly holds onto. He might not admit it. He might not even put it into words, but it's there, tucked away in his imagination. And more often than not, it's not about something wild or impossible. It's about adding a spark of adventure to what you already share. That's where the adventurous twist position comes in. So what do I mean by adventurous? I don't mean swinging from chandeliers or trying something that looks like it belongs in a movie scene. Adventure in this context is about breaking routine and bringing in just enough novelty to make the moment unforgettable. It could be a new position that feels daring. It could be trying intimacy in a different setting, a new room, a quiet corner of the house, maybe even the shower. It could simply be you saying, tonight, I want to try something different. Men crave this more than they let on. Why? Because adventure speaks to their primal side. It tells them, with you, life is exciting. With you, nothing gets boring. With you, I never know what's coming next. And let me tell you, that is addictive. Men don't want to feel like intimacy has become predictable. They want to feel like it's an adventure, one only you can give them. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're together, and instead of going through the usual routine, you suddenly guide him into a new angle, a position he's never experienced before. Maybe it's one that allows him to see you in a completely different light, more daring, more confident, more playful. His first thought won't be, wait, what are we doing? His first thought will be, oh my God, this is new and I love it. That spark of surprise immediately heightens his arousal and cements the moment in his memory. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to reinvent intimacy every single time. Just the occasional adventurous twist is enough to keep him hooked. It's not about changing everything. It's about adding just enough to remind him that with you, there's always something new to discover. Now, here's a little psychological insight. When people experience something novel together, their brains release dopamine, the chemical tied to excitement and reward. That means that when you share an adventurous new experience in the bedroom, his brain literally associates you with excitement and pleasure on a deeper level. He doesn't just remember the act, he remembers you as the woman who gave him that rush. Of course, I know some women worry about this. What if I suggest something new and he thinks it's weird? Here's the secret, he won't. In fact, most men are just waiting for you to take that step. By suggesting or initiating something adventurous, you're giving him permission to explore a side of himself he may not even have words for. And that is a gift he will never forget. One more tip, adventure isn't always physical. Sometimes it's about energy. It could be as simple as role-playing confidence, teasing him with a daring line, or creating an atmosphere with lighting and music that shifts the mood entirely. Adventure comes in many forms. Every time you bring one into the bedroom, you reinforce the message. With me, life is never ordinary. So, adventurous twist, position isn't just about the physical angle. It's about mindset. It's about saying yes to new experiences, breaking the routine, and keeping intimacy fresh. Do this and you'll become the woman he can't stop thinking about. not because you were perfect, but because you were unforgettable. Let's pause for a moment. We've journeyed through 5 positions that men secretly crave, not because they're or kinky checkboxes in some magazine, but because they open doors to new levels of intimacy, vulnerability, and connection. Here's the truth: when you experiment with these positions, you're not just giving your man something new in bed, you're creating an atmosphere where he feels seen, desired, and understood in ways he rarely admits out loud. That's what makes these experiences unforgettable. Think about it. When was the last time you tried something new, not out of obligation, but out of curiosity, out of wanting to discover more about each other? That spirit of exploration is what keeps relationships alive long after the honeymoon phase fades. So the next time you're with him, don't be afraid to take the lead. Whisper in his ear, guide his hands, try something fresh, even if it feels a little awkward at first. Because awkward moments often lead to laughter, closeness, and memories you'll carry forever. Now, I want to leave you with this challenge. Don't just listen to these tips. Pick one and put it into practice this week. Notice his reaction. Notice your reaction. Let it spark a conversation, a smile, maybe even a deeper level of trust. And if you found this breakdown valuable, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who deserves more passion in their life, and drop a comment. Which of these positions surprised you the most? Remember, love thrives not in routine, but in adventure.